BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed, ahoy, hoy, and welcome to episode 544 of BRB UK. Where I am, it's Thursday. Where you are, it's some other day that probably isn't Thursday, unless you're listening a week late, and, more the fool you, because you've missed out on a whole week of sweet video game goodness. That's
Could be Friday.
right. Or you might have just been buried in Diablo 4 and Street Fighter 6, which is entirely reasonable. But anyway, if you're doing neither of those things, I'm joined by two other people, one of which is Timothy Hibbs.
Hello!
Say hello, Timothy Hibbs.
Hello, Timothy Hibbs.
And the other one, from right over there, with his shiny, baldy head, it's Mr. Coleman.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty good, I think.
Splendid.
Yes.
Glad to hear. I still see, for those of you on video, you can still see that you're sticking with the blurred out dumbbells in the background. They haven't moved for several weeks.
They don't show up in the video. They just show up on our screens. So it's a bit pointless mentioning them.
I quite enjoyed it, though. It's just a little glimpse behind the scenes. Coleman's got his the means by which he gets mad gains and is well ripped. Anyway, what a week in video games it's about to be. There is lots of very awesome things releasing, and there's also Lord of the Rings Gollum, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no. So I think Tim is obviously on the cusp of much excitement for Street Fighter 6. I'm on the cusp of much excitement of early release of Diablo 4, and we are obviously going to be diving into them pretty heavily next week. But we got some time to kill between then and now. Me and Tim, we need something to distract us, otherwise we're going to be like kids on Christmas Eve, all excited. We won't know what to do with ourselves. We'll get upset for no reason whatsoever. We'll get hangry. We'll wake you up at 3 a.m, wondering, is it Diablo time yet? All of these things is why we do a podcast.
To distract ourselves from the games that aren't out yet.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Tim,
Yes.
for those of you who are watching, can see that Tim is being very rude and is completely absorbed
Slightly
in his
distracted
mobile
by
phone.
the fact that
He's
we
been-
were stupid enough to record at the same time as the Meta Showcase, which I'm quite excited about. And
Which
Coleman
we're
will be
not
excited about.
talking about until after.
Yeah. Okay. When we talk about the news, I'm definitely gonna give you some news, but hey.
It's a future Tim problem.
Mhm.
All right. So before Tim starts getting distracted, Tim, up
Yes.
here.
Stop staring
look
at your
into
crotch,
my
Tim.
face. Tim.
Okay.
Okay, eyes about 6 inches north of there. There we go.
There we go.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And eye contact, Tim.
Back to
My
it.
eyes are up here.
So anyway, now Tim can't talk ever.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So because we've been slightly getting ready for the gaming onslaught's coming, there's probably not a lot of brand new stuff that we done played, but I like Talk Destiny, as you know.
You
I
like Talk Destiny?
I like
You
Talk
like Talk
Destiny.
Destiny?
Destiny make happy.
Good.
Dan like Destiny. Dan Destiny Dan happy good. So the dungeon came out for the most recent season, where actually it was pretty cool. There is
What's in your dungeon,
a
Dan?
really fish for a start.
Right?
Explain.
Fish. There's fish in my dungeon.
The band.
No. A selection of haddocks,
Phil Fish?
and anchovies. No. Phil Fish isn't there.
Oh, okay.
Just they're. Yeah, I've got some sea bream. Ooh, I love a sea bream. He's in my fish dungeon, looking all shifty. This is going a really weird direction.
Yeah,
I
what's
want to
right?
stop.
Okay, let's explain.
What's
the
in your
actual,
space
what's going on
dungeon,
with the
Dan?
dungeon.
What's in my space dungeon? Well, fish. Funnily enough. So this is so Destiny with its seasons. It seems to be alternating between have a raid or have a dungeon. This is a have a dungeon kind of season. And
Right.
Dungeons,
dungeon
you don't know,
season.
Destiny is a 3-player activity,
Rabbit
which is like
season.
end game super hard content. And this one takes place on the newly reappeared moon of Titan, which is
Newly reappeared.
yeah. So it's if for those of you who remember it the first time around
Okay.
Destiny 2, this is like kind of a methane sea of there's like kind of oil rigs and stuff, but this
I'm
this
smelly.
dungeon takes place under the sea. No, because it's liquid methane, Tim. It takes place under the sea.
Under
And
the sea.
Sounds
there
wet and
are
smelly.
hive type creatures down there. Well, it would be, but again, it's methane, so you know what you can do. Yeah, there's kind of diving into the hive who are trundling around the seabed, and there is a big, massive hive dreadnought living under there.
Oh,
I'm not going to say any more because it will spoil some really cool details. If
is
you're
it
playing
a
Destiny.
big
But there is
dreadnought fish?
No,
Why not?
just isn't.
Little Mermaid in theaters now.
Sure, why not? Yes. So yeah, I mean, it's generally a pretty good dungeon. It does feel for the first time rather than it just being a long strike, which is kind of like the standard 3-player affair Destiny does. It really does feel like more like a 3-player raid, and its kind of complexity in the way you need to work together. It's pretty cool. There's one or two slightly annoying bits where you're traversing the seabed and having to jump in bubbles of air. Otherwise, they seem to have got the concept of air and pressure mixed up. If you run out of oxygen, your head explodes for some reason.
Okay.
Not quite sure how that works. So yeah, that's the only slightly annoying bit.
I thought you were supposed to be a doctor, Dan.
A snail's. No, that's not how hypoxia works, Tim.
Okay.
I really don't want to go into this in detail, but I will.
Oxygen equals pressure. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, okay.
Come
So,
on.
well, oxygen. Now, oxygen has a partial pressure in your bloodstream, but when oxygen goes low, it doesn't make your head explode. All right, unless you're in a vacuum,
and
then
also
your head would explode.
When the oxygen's gone, that makes the gravity go with it because there's gravity in the oxygen, and that's why everyone floats in space.
Sure, why not?
So
why not?
Isaac Newton invented space when he invented gravity and oxygen.
Yes.
Yes.
All of those things were Isaac Newton.
Correct.
Science, then.
Albert Einstein, on the other hand, invented the flat Earth.
Correct.
That's what happened.
There's an ice wall around it as well.
Exactly. Have you seen the old waterfalls at the edge as well? Oh, they're amazing.
That would be Terry Pratchett. That's fictional, Dan. Don't be silly. It's an
No,
ice wall.
I'm sorry.
Everyone knows that. That's why we don't fall off.
So it's
That's why all the penguins don't
one or two
escape.
slightly questionable between encounter bits aside. It's a pretty good dungeon. I went through it with Kev and Jamie from Jet or Smash Soul, as many people know him. So it was fun to be had. There's the end encounter does a really nice throwback to the original Destiny and some stuff that was reprised in Destiny 2. I won't spoil it, but it is pretty cool. Actually tells a pretty good story as well. In-game, Tim, before you start. And then you
story in the game.
So yeah, I know, right? But it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome. Really, had good fun with it. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but that was pretty enjoyable for those of us who want to explore the end game content. Yeah, good stuff. Well done, Bungo.
Bungo.
Clever Bungo.
Well done.
Well done, the Bungo.
I was doing a Tim and staring at my phone. It was because my motion alarm went off. And then I looked, and it's literally a carrier bag blowing in the wind. So beautiful.
Yo, watch out for them. Bloody vicious carrier bags.
Going all American Pie on us, eh? Oh, not American Pie, was it?
Looking
American
for a
Beauty.
swan to strangle.
Beauty.
American Beauty, Tim, not American Pie.
I'm now picturing
two
you
very
in a bathtub
different
with
movies,
roses
Tim.
for some reason, but so that's not good. Let's move on so I can get that thought out of my head.
Tim, stop checking your phone.
One's the one about sex pests, and the other one's also got Kevin Spacey in it. Ah.
Bants. What else have we been playing? Also touched a little bit of the puzzler on PS Plus that's recently come out, Humanity.
Oh, how is that?
Where you play an existential dog.
Yes.
One day I woke up and I was
Shiba Inu? Is that right?
Yep.
Is it a Shiba Inu?
Oh, sure. Why not? I think I just see dog. It looks like a Japanese dog, but I'm fairly sure. Yes, it will be one
Japanese
of those.
dog named a Shiba
Yeah. So
Inu.
basically, it's a bit like Lemmings, but with humans. You've got some brainless humans who you need to guide using the power of mystical woofing to a portal to save them and let them ascend to a higher plane. Very good game, actually. I'm only really sunk about 2 hours in, but there's some really nice puzzles that kind of really makes you think in 3 dimensions. Really nicely put together game, nicely chill. It's a nice little palate cleanser from other stuff. And one of the things that's pretty incredible as well is there's level editors in there as well. So there's literally an endless supply of user-made levels that you can explore. Good for the price of bundled with your PS Plus membership. In terms of how much it costs in and of itself, it is 25 quid. And I'm not sure it's 25 quid levels of entertaining distraction while you're waiting for other stuff to show up in your game library. But yeah, I've been really pleasantly surprised by it. It does have a PlayStation VR 2 mode, Tim, so you'd be happy.
Which
but
I've heard is pretty pointless.
It is a little sub.
Yeah, it doesn't really add much to it.
It is a little sub poor.
Yeah.
Sub poor. Because
Sub-
you're,
Oh,
Oh,
because
see,
you're a
sub
Shiba
poor.
Inu.
Yeah.
I've no idea if I'm saying that right.
Shiba Inu.
Inu.
There we go.
Inu.
Yes.
Is it Dune or Dune?
Don't
Done.
even start with that. You know it's June.
But yes, I was looking forward to this one. I want to give it a go. I don't want to give it a go for £25. Maybe I'll bump up my subscription for a month or something. Just have a
Yeah.
go on this.
Yeah.
Might be worth it.
It's
for
good
that.
fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. It's a really nice, chill game.
Do you wanna-
And it's by Enhanced.
Do you want a little Steam Deck update? Because I was playing around with my
I'd love a
adventures
little
in
Steam
Steam
Deck
Decking
update.
last week. So I was
You've been
talking about.
teasing us with pictures of your massive dick.
Yes, I did share last week that I've been trying to emulate Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the Switch version on the Steam Deck, and to not great results. It's quite a problematic one. And then after looking into it, everyone just basically goes, "Hey, trying to emulate Breath of the Wild on your Steam Deck? Don't. It doesn't work properly. You're better off
Fair
doing
enough.
the Wii U version and running that on Cemu instead, and then trying it that way, which I might try at some point. I think I'll just play the Switch version because I did get some new Joy-Cons sorted out for that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you end up repairing them or did you just get new ones?
New ones, and I'm going to send the ones back, so I've got 2 pairs. I'm hoping the next iteration uses Joy-Cons. If not, I'll be selling a Switch with 2 sets of Joy-Cons. But
Nice.
yeah, I went through some of the other games that I've got. So did Mario Kart, which was fun because Mario Kart, when you open it up, it has the Me Creator suite thing, which doesn't exist on the Steam Deck. So when you open it up, it just infinitely tries to load it. And then I had to work out a way of patching that out. So I've now got it done, and Mario Kart runs absolutely fabulously on there. And you can take out like motion blur on drifts and things and make the game just run better and look better, a lot more crisper.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with that. I got Mario Odyssey working really good, which is great because in the early days of Steam Deck, there was a lot of kind of complaint of stutter in Mario Odyssey, and now that runs beautifully as well. Super Smash Brothers, I've got a couple of kinks out of that, but I'm pretty confident I'll have that done by next week. And Metroid Dread is running pretty beautifully as well.
How are you finding Metroid Dread?
Well, I already so I was already playing that on the Steam Deck, and I kind of stopped just because other games playing for the show and all that kind of stuff, and I never really went back into that one. So now I put it on the Steam Deck, I'll probably get back into it at some point. But that was the one that made me want to do this, because that was the one that those guys at Kotaku when Metroid Dread came out, and they went, "Hey, don't bother playing this on a Switch. Why don't you just emulate it on the PC because it runs so much nicer?" I went, "Oh, if it's running nicer, let's give that one a go." So, yes, Kotaku told me to do it. That's what I'll say.
I
in the
blame
court of law.
Kotaku for many, many things. Yeah, cool, man. So, I mean, with like kind of customizing it, kind of like it's like kind of being able to turn motion blur on and off. How do you do that? Is that via a config file? Is it pretty simple, or do you have to really kind of deep dive into a bunch of config files to get that done?
Okay, so the way Steam Deck has like a one-stop shop of emulation suites called EmuDeck. I think that's right. And it's
not to be confused with EmuDeck.
Yeah, EmuDeck, which is in South Africa.
Totally different corner of the internet.
Very different.
Very niche corner of the internet.
But it's a program that someone made, and it was essentially a wrapper that has all the different emulators that you want. Some optional, some that are like part of the standard thing, and you can switch them off, switch them on, have what you want. But it also adds in handy tools as well, so it can bolt in cloud saves, retro achievements, lots of handy things like that. It can add scan lines to your games if that's what you want. It can use modding to change the format of certain games that had the ability to widescreen, had the widescreen there, but didn't display the ability to have widescreen, if you kind of get what I mean. Unlocks a lot of features like that. And the one I've been using it for various retro games in the past. And then when I started to do Steam Deck, I was using the emulator Yuzu, even though it does have more Switch emulators on there. And with each emulation, so if you install an SD card and then you set it up through the SD card, it will automatically create a bunch of folders on there. So it'll have each console where you put each ROM in there for whatever you need. And it also has like save state slots and mods and updates and DLC packs and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to configure that and extract all that stuff. But the handy thing is when you go to Yuzu, you just go to the game, you right click on it. And I don't know if you know about this about Switch emulation, but every game has like an individual barcode to it. So if you were to put in DLC or an update or something, you'd need to make a folder with the barcode, and you can look that up on a database. However, if you just right-click on the game on Yuzu, it just automatically creates the folder with the thing, and you just drag and drop it through FileZilla or something, and it's done. So on Yuzu's website, they have a page with a list of different mods for games available that have been approved, and some that have warnings like, try this, but it might break it at this point. Try this, it might break it, or can't use it with this one. So I've not gone online and looked at all the various different database of mods. I'm using the kind of Yuzu-approved ones. And it's worked a treat. Some I've had to kind of flick around with and switch on and off, but it's working really, really well now. Worth doing.
Nice.
And once again, this is not an invitation to go out and pirate video games and stick them on your Steam Deck. This is you do the ones if you can extract the files and you can load them onto an emulator and you own them all, then I see no issue with that. Even though I was listening to a completely different podcast who have a lot more stake in the game that they could burn by doing emulated stuff, and then admitted, yeah, I say that I extract all my files, but no one does. We all download it illegally.
Well,
mate, Nintendo's listening to you.
I can verify. I can verify that Coleman does in fact extract the games.
Yeah.
So.
And also,
because I'm a nerd and I get bored.
And also the what?
The
he extracts
the.
Really? Did you just say he also extracts the?
Not quite in that voice, but yes.
Oh, you mad lad, Timothy Hibbs.
Well, I mean, Nintendo. But, I'm sure even if you're doing it legally, Nintendo aren't exactly happy about you emulating things.
No, and that's why they
Nintendo
removed a legal
Yeah.
form of you doing that by getting a Ripper delisted. So,
Yeah.
There are ways of doing it still.
So there we go. So your adventures in massive dick emulation continue.
Yes,
I'm glad it's working
been
for
fun.
you at least.
Emu dick.
It's purely a curiosity thing. Someone did point out, I think.
Emu dicks.
Well, yeah, that's a different curiosity. No, someone did point out to me that most Steam Deck players spend more time setting up things on their Steam Deck than they do actually playing games.
Than actually playing
I can confirm, as another Steam Deck owner, I can confirm, dicking about with settings I've spent more time on that than actually playing games.
Yeah, I spent a day making wrappers for very different streaming sites. So I had like a Netflix app and a BBC app and all this kind of stuff. Spent ages doing it. I've never watched the thing on it.
I know.
Just wanted to see if I could do it. Yeah, I just wanted to see if I could do it.
Man, the Steam Deck's such a good little system. Absolutely corking little bit of kit.
You're still not selling me on it.
Really
I'm not selling you guys on VR, basically. But still, yeah.
Not after
Coleman
this
did
weekend.
come round. Yeah, I was about to say Coleman did come round, and I was like, oh, what to show you first? Oh, yeah, have a look at Kayak VR. That's visually really cool, and you can just jump in on that. And
I'm guessing instant vomit.
Yeah, kind of forgetting that Coleman gets motion sick, and I was like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good one to start with. But then we ended up, watching a movie rather than going back to games. So we didn't play more VR, basically.
Oh,
yeah.
And was equally lovingly stroking your head as you hugged the toilet.
Equally friend of the show. Yeah, equally friend of the show, Rick, did not particularly get on with Kayak VR. And then I thought I'd show him some Resident Evil, and he didn't get on much better with that either. So yeah, hey. Possibly difficult ones to jump into when you don't have VR legs or you get motion sick, possibly. But still. But yeah, I did get to play a couple of VR games this week for the first time.
There's a surprise.
Was a really good experience. The other was not. So let's deal with the bad experience first of all.
Oh dear.
So
okay,
this one is a game, and I wasn't exactly expecting too much from this, but it's a game called Travel the Words, and I wasn't expecting too much just because
they misspelt that.
It's got the worst cover art thing I've seen on the top of a games listing on PlayStation Store, possibly ever. The train bit of it that actually features in the preview thing of the game looks fine. The person's face, I urge you to go and look at how bad that person's face is. I don't understand what they've done. It looks like it was created by AI and they did a really bad job of it. Not entirely sure what happened, but it's bad. But it's also a weird concept as well. It's a word search game in VR.
Right.
So I was just intrigued to see how that worked, if it worked better than I thought it did. And even though they've added a couple of bells and whistles, it really did not work better than I thought it did. You've got 3 of the 12 puzzles that are available in the final game in the demo. If you've got any interest at all, I advise playing the demo. I do not advise buying the game. You get a quarter of the game for nothing. And it doesn't seem to give you a lot more game for actually purchasing it, even though it's like £9.50 or something. It's not exactly very expensive. The one thing I think is actually a good thing for the game, but a better thing for the PSVR 2 is the fact that the clarity of the headset is such that you can do word searches in a VR setting, which I'm not sure you could have done with the PSVR 1 because it was a bit too blurry. And yeah, I don't know if that's something you noticed from your short time in the game that you did play, Kayak VR. The text that you can read in that is actually like properly legible. Text is a lot more legible in PSVR 2 than it was in PSVR 1. So that kind of bodes well for the game. It also added, as I said, a few bells and whistles. There was some nice little touches. Basically, it's a standard word search grid, and then they've added that you've got a list of words that you've got to find in that grid. They're all generally themed. One of them's
You've got to search for words in a word search.
Yeah, one of them's themed around like confectionery, another one's themed around mines, and another one was themed around fruit and veg, basically, or maybe just fruit. But yeah, like it's added a thing where it's got a bonus word that isn't on the list of words, and if you find the bonus word, it produces a little mini game, and it's a little mini game where you've basically got to do a kind of Space Invaders style mini game where you've got to shoot the letters as they descend from the word, and shoot all the words in the time frame, which is generally it gives you a minute to do that, basically. And
Tim,
yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
From what you've described so far, this game sounds like ass.
Well, that's
Am
why
I correct in my assessment?
I am. Yeah, I'm trying to find some redeeming features, but it is pretty much arse, and I don't recommend it. Basically, yeah, it's got that mini game.
So what
thing.
I'm getting so far is if you like letters,
Dan,
there's letters in there.
No, Dan, I've gone through the good points so far. These are the plus points.
Oh, wow.
I haven't got on to the negatives yet.
God, Jesus. Right. All right. Hit me with it.
I mean, like, you can rejumble the words and, like, go again, but otherwise there's no, like, replay value as far as I can see to do it. It just uses the same list of words that you've got to find in a slightly different arranged grid.
I have a question.
Yep.
I have a question. In order for something to have replay value, has it first got to have play value?
Yes, that's part of the problem as well.
Right, okay.
It takes
about
gotcha.
No worries. Just
it takes around like between 6 and 12 minutes for me to get through the first 3 puzzles. Bearing in mind that the other ones might get a bit more complicated, and I didn't get to see them because they weren't available to see. But it can't be any more than like a few hours of playtime to get through all the puzzles, and I don't see why you'd want to do them again necessarily. Also, and this is possibly the nail in the coffin for me on this game, and will be the final thing I say about it as a result, it commits the cardinal sin of word searches, which, considering that is the center point of the game, is a problem.
It's in Estonian.
No, that's it. Like, literally, I had the word appear in the word search, and I couldn't work out why it wasn't letting me highlight it and pick it as one of the words that I'd found. And that's because the word was somewhere else in the word search, and that wasn't the one that it had programmed in. So, like, it was the word cake. So
the
it was
wrong word.
A fairly simple word. But it was like the word appeared twice in the grid, and it didn't register one of those appearances. And I'm like, oh, come on. That's just really poor game design.
That's because, Tim, one of those cakes was the truth. And one of those cakes was a really old meme from 2006.
If they actually did that, that's actually more funny, but considering that would take more talent than was on display in the whole rest of the game, possibly. And I don't mean to besmirch people's work, and someone's worked hard on this, but definitely should have stopped that from happening, basically, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a box quote.
That's
Tim Hibbs.
No.
Why, God, why?
On the flip side, I did also play another game that was entirely free, gives you the whole game for free. There is some microtransactions involved, so I'll highlight that at the top. But I had an absolutely great time playing PokerStars VR. Didn't create the best first impression because I went into the casino area, and you can kind of wander around that area. But for some reason, the game has got this system where you can alter where you're turning as you teleport, but you can't once you're sat down on a chair at a table or once you've picked the place that you're standing. So that meant that if you were facing slightly off, to get to facing straight forward on a table, you'd have to leave that table and teleport back to it, which was annoying. And I don't understand why there's no turning whatsoever in the game. It seems really weird, seems really odd. That created a bad first impression. But there's lots of different things in the casino other than poker. There's like this rocket game that you can bet on. There's various different slots. And even though they're kind of more slot machines of the American kind, more than the British kind, which I prefer, they're not bad. They're all right. They're there. There's also a blackjack table, which was quite good fun. A roulette wheel and craps, which I don't understand, and even after reading the instructions, I really need to go away and learn how that game works properly so that I can actually play it at some point. But yeah, that's all available, and
I have a question.
Nice extras, yes.
Why the heck isn't there bingo? I want to be an octogenarian overweight lady with bingo wings,
okay,
and I want to just go on a rampage around the casino as some biddy next to me gets a full house when I know she's lying.
I think there's enough bingo online elsewhere that you can go and play.
I had a very competitive grandma who loved bingo.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I think I haven't been to I haven't been to many a casino in my life, but is bingo a common one in casinos? Usually it's a bingo hall, right?
It should be.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Maybe in like Florida.
Can you have like a big win and then get super drunk and then accidentally go to the Chapel of Love and marry a waitress and then wake up in the morning and go, oh no, half my assets are gone?
Not a feature that I've seen.
Oh no, I'm married to Brian.
You can wear hats that allow your hair to stick through the hats, like as in
mad lad,
crash through. Not in a good way. Like they look bad. But generally, when you get to the actual main game of playing poker, that's where I had a good time, and that's where it really comes into its own. Basically, you've got various different levels and settings. The one that I was playing on was a big yacht-style boat, and you had the kind of table set up at the back, and there's a pool with an inflatable thing in, and it's kind of surrounded by like a Monaco-looking setting. And yeah, like just the actual experience of playing is really good. Like you do need to have like the sense controllers and playing with that. And you're physically moving your cards around, you're physically moving your chips around. There is some good like interface options with how that works as well. There's also lots of like little toys and stuff that you can like fiddle with. Like there's wind up things and cars and cigarette lighters and all sorts of weird things that people, and spinning tops and various different things that people can mess around with. You can also play some of those slot machines while you're waiting for other people at the poker table, which I guess if you've folded and you're bored means that you can sit there and play, and it gives you something to do. You can like very easily mute people, and like all that sort of functionality side is all a bit confusingly laid out. But one of the things, and one of the reasons I had a really nice time is and one of the reasons I was up till far too late playing it, is I found just a nice group of people that were all giving me like good tips of, oh yeah, you can select that on your watch and you can do this. And you've got like a watch that brings up an interface menu that gives you the various options for those toys and your avatar and being able to mute people and all that sort of stuff. So there's loads of different things there. But like originally I came into the table with my microphone off, but then most of the people at the table were having a fun, nice conversation. And so I sort of turned my microphone on, said hello, and jumped in. And yeah, there was like a guy from Italy, a couple of guys from Turkey, a couple of Americans that popped in and out. One was a trumper. We upgraded to a non-trumper. I'll leave it at that. But then, yeah, then there was a couple of British guys that are in there as well. One fellow Spurs fan, which is quite nice. And then, yeah, just chat away.
You found them.
Yeah, there's no cross-play at the moment. I believe that's on the way, but that just meant that we were all PSVR 2 users, so we were all chatting about PSVR 2, which was quite nice as well, actually. Like, so we were chatting about our various experiences with that and different accessories and different games. So I was able to rave about Red Matter 2 and all that type of stuff as well. And yeah, it was just a really nice time, really nice conversation. I enjoyed the gameplay of playing poker a bit. although I didn't have that much success at the table. I did win a few hands. But yeah, just the actual experience of playing the game and playing with people was even better than I expected. I was expecting it to go in and be a bit of a nightmare and something that I don't want to, really sort of spend that much time in. But I do see it as something I can go back to as well. So yeah, just that's something I'll be playing more of if other people want to play. I don't know if you can play in private rooms at the moment. I'm not sure if that's an option. But you can select from a list of rooms and you can see all the people in those rooms as you select them. So if anyone else is playing on PSVR 2, give me a shout and come play some PokerStars VR, basically.
So just to be clear though, this is not real money, right? This is just
right. That's why I said about the microtransactions. Basically, every 12 hours, I think it is, every 8 hours, you get a free spin that gives you a sack of cash that is how much money you can bet for that day. And it was a reasonable amount. It wasn't enough for me to go and play for too long on one of the high stakes tables, but it was more than enough to be able to play for quite a long time on one of the lower stakes tables. Like, for instance, I think I got 18 grand, and the lower stakes tables were $25 and $50 to bet. Basically. Yeah, it's a substantial amount to kind of bet that with. Although it's, I should have said maybe it's Texas Hold'em and it's no limit Texas Hold'em, so you can bet any amount of money. So even though, you can get a substantial amount of money, you can lose money very quickly as well. But you can buy money. But it's not
real money.
No, right. But that's the thing. I believe you can buy money in the game. I think that's the case. You can definitely buy cosmetics as well, and little bits and bobs. But I think you can unlock those as well. That I'll explore a little bit more when I get a bit deeper into the game and report back on that side of things a bit. But there are microtransactions, beware. It's also obviously encouraging some betting type stuff. I believe that's probably why it was delayed in why it came out in Europe later than it did in America.
Shame.
Because it came out in the UK and then it's come out to other European countries subsequently. So it's probably a case of, having to deal with all those different rules and regulations regarding betting and all that type of stuff. But yeah, kind of a slight buyer's beware, but it is very good at what it does. So, and it's free to play to start with, at least.
All right.
That was a lot of VR.
We'll let it off.
That was a lot of VR. I have been playing a bit of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but I haven't really done anything significant, and we've short on time, so I won't mention it anymore.
Please don't. Because I know you're very excited about a thing.
Yep.
All right, are we all done? All right, Coleman, it's all right. Happy place.
Shame.
Happy. It's easy. Coleman coming off the soundboard. Step away from the soundboard. Yeah, oh God. See what you've done to him, Tim. See what you've done to him.
He's on his phone again.
Set him off.
Sir, Tim's on his phone, sir.
Timothy.
I think he's chewing gum, sir.
Timothy, stop touching yourself in public.
Oh.
What do you do? Timothy, you get to speak about it now. So we're all done with what we've done played, which means Tim gets to pretend to be an actual live news reporter on this week's episode of, are you ready, Coleman? On this week's episode of Basically News.
Basic news from Tim here. So I wonder if anything's about VR, probably, basically.
Should have some papers to shuffle for this section.
Timothy Hibbs, our man on the front line, and by front line I mean he's sitting in his pants somewhere in his living room looking at a phone rather than talking to me. And Coleman, I hope there's a ruddy good reason because you've been very distracted. Tell me about what you've been looking at.
I hate to break it to you, Dan. I'm not even wearing pants. But, hey.
Nice. Nice.
Not that I'm naked from the waist down. Just
not
wearing
sure
shorts.
how to respond to that.
Just shorts. But hey, we have been recording during the Meta Showcase. But prior to this, they announced what's going on with the Meta Quest 3, which is a bit surprising because that I would have thought would be the headline announcement. But obviously getting that out of the way, it was a slightly heavily rumoured to the point of already possibly leaking really anyway. So they were probably just getting that out ahead of things so they didn't have to talk about it in their major presentation. But MetaQuest 3 has been announced. It's coming in autumn sometime. I'm not sure if they said exactly when. I think the base one is £499 and 99p. But yeah, that's for the base model.
Wow.
And you probably want to go for
£500 for a sec there, Tim.
They're also lowering the price back down to the price it was previously, of the MetaQuest 2 as well. So I believe the base model of that's down to 300 now, basically, or 299.99, as I know you like it said, Dan. Yeah,
Don't
and so
you.
it has a higher resolution display, as you would expect, a lighter design overall. It's got a next-gen Qualcomm chipset, which has twice the graphics, apparently. So that's a thing. Improved tracking, longer battery life, new controllers with haptic feedback, which wasn't a definite because we weren't sure. It was most probable that we were going to get that to give it some parity with PSVR 2. It does seem like the two devices are going to be sitting alongside each other quite nicely. And so I think developers will be able to develop for both systems and not have to make too many differences to their games. The fact that they both got haptics now is good. The one thing that MetaQuest 3 has over and above what the PSVR 2 has is it has a full color pass-through. So this means that it will actually give some mixed reality capabilities as well as the basic VR stuff as well.
Put some AR in your VR.
Yeah, and the one thing they showed off in the trailer this will probably work best with is Demio. So yeah, like that's a thing that is already out in PSVR 2, does work in VR, but I can see being an even more enhanced experience in mixed reality as well. So I think that would be very interesting. There has been some highlights, and this is something that that has been distracting me throughout the show. There are two things that might make you want to pick up a headset, Coleman. Now, I have been trying to work out if one or both of these are coming to PSVR 2, because I'd prefer you to get this. But I don't think there's two things they could have picked that would possibly get you to pick up a headset more than Power Wash Simulator, because that's a good fit for VR, and I can see that being really good for you. But over and above that, possibly Samba de Amigo.
Ooh, that's really good choices for VR.
Yeah, so I can see you being really interested in that. The standout ones for me that I've seen so far are probably Seventh Guest being remade from the ground up for VR, which I'm quite interested in because I love the old PC game, and Bulletstorm, which is not only just good because Bulletstorm is a great little game and will work well. I also think that era of first-person shooters is really well suited for the graphical capabilities of VR at the moment, basically. So I think it's a really good idea to have a load of games from that time period reworked for VR. So the fact that someone has thought to do it with Bulletstorm, that is a good pick to start with. But I can see that being the start of many other games possibly being remade for VR as well. So yeah, I generally think that's good news. Also, just as a little standout thing, because it was quite interesting, they've announced an Assassin's Creed, I think it was Assassin's Creed Animus, is coming later this year.
Oh, cool.
And that's just interesting just because it looked like Ubisoft had completely pulled away from VR because they made a load of VR games and then haven't done anything for a year or more, basically.
Yes, but also Ubisoft love to support new hardware.
Yes.
But also they've they've pulled away from most of their licenses and are doubling down on Assassin's Creed. But what I want to know is, for as long as we've had VR, how the hell has it taken them this long to do an Animus game?
Yes.
I know, right?
It seems
it's
really weird, isn't it?
So chuffing obvious. But so the kind of the skinny on the specs, there's some details like, I'm unsure, Tim, and I know this is a personal favourite of yours.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they offer foveated rendering.
No,
in terms
they don't.
Of the resolution,
there's no eye tracking.
There's no eye tracking.
Yeah.
So that actually is a bit of a big negative in terms of definitely eking the most performance out of the headset.
But they've gone with mixed reality versus foveated rendering, and so that'll be the two differences between the two different things, basically.
But in terms of for the price point, it's pretty competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, the resolution per eye is actually better than the PSVR 2, and this is a headset you're going to be able to use on your PC. However, I'm imagining it's going to still be via the Quest Link software, which actually isn't direct rendering. It compresses the video stream, sends that to your headset, and that gets uncompressed, meaning there's latency there, which I'm a bit sensitive, like Coleman, to kind of lag in VR. And I found the Quest solution to it, when I was playing games on the PC, made me feel a little bit queasy, whereas stuff playing direct on the Quest hardware, I was fine with. It's got 120 hertz refresh rates. It's an LCD rather than an OLED display, so that's probably where they're saving a bit more cash as well. But it does have a big old Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor in it, which is super beefy, apparently. The other thing that I'm not clear on, and I don't think they've announced, is actually the IPD, so interpupillary distance correction. I know on PSVR 2 that's an actual manual slider, isn't it? That you
Yes,
can
I
do,
believe it is on
whereas
the Quest 3 as well. I'm not sure they said that in these things, but that was rumored to be the
because
case.
that's a massive upgrade versus adjusting for it in software. Because again, if you've got a big wide head like me, actually the Quest 2 is not great because your eyes are all weird compared to that. But other stuff of note is that their controllers, like you said, got haptics, big upgrade, but they've also removed the most breakable bit of them if you're a Gorilla Tag fiend, and that is the rings around the outside. There's no more tracking rings around the outside. If you're not in the market for a Quest 3, good news! Because your Quest 2 is going to be getting a 26% CPU increase and a 90% GPU increase just based on software updates alone. So probably the trade-off is you'll get really good performance, but you'll have approximately 5 minutes battery life, is what I'm going to guess.
The Quest Pro is also getting a bit of a bump in performance as well. So they've announced a load of other games as well. Vampire the Masquerade Justice looking interesting. And there's we already heard about it, I think, but there's a Stranger Things game that I think was already said to be coming to PSVR at some point and is also now coming to Quest 3 as well, basically. But yeah, I will dig through the other highlights. Kev and I are planning on doing an episode of VRB at some point after the Apple announcement as well. So that means that will probably be the end of big announcements for games. And we get a bit of reaction to that. And then Kev and I will sort of dig through all of that and see what we think and do a bit more VR news as well.
I mean, the big assumption being, of course, that Apple are going to actually announce something. Everyone's getting very excited. I think it's more AR, the direction they're going in, rather than VR. But if the rumors are true that they're actually announcing something along those lines, that would be quite exciting to see what they come up with. But I bet you it's all the processing is going to live on an iPhone, and that actually this is just a device that renders the fairly impressive processing power that an iPhone has. If I had to be a betting man, which I'm not, but I'd imagine that's essentially what it's going to be. It's going to use your iPhone as its processor.
The rumor is that it's going to have an M2 chip per eye. So,
really,
that's like high level.
That's going to be expensive.
Yes,
dude.
and that's the other rumor that it's going to be a very hefty price point. The rumored price point is $3,000.
All right, so my prediction is what they're going to release towards the end of the year, where any old schmo can have a set of glasses they put on their face and it's run by their iPhone.
But it's going to have like a mixed reality sort of setting, apparently, of both augmented reality and VR. I don't know how focused on gaming this device is going to be. I imagine that is going to be an element of it. I also think it's going to be an entertainment device and a portable screen where you can wear this out and about in the same way that, AirPods can be used for gaming. Like, that's not their primary idea. Like, I think that's going to be a little bit the case with this headset. I don't think it's going to be sold as a primary gaming device.
Oh, you just know there's going to be twazzocks wearing it on the tube, don't you? Go, oh, look at me. I'm just enjoying augmented. And people are going to kick the living daylights out of them, I'd imagine.
Not the fighting, but I've only ever seen one person use like a headset on the tube. And I thought when the whole Google Glass thing was going on that was going to be the thing that kicked it off. But it was... do you remember when the Samsung Edge, the phone, and then you had the little clip-on thing? Can't be that long ago we were talking about these things. But yeah, you could buy the thing with the phone or get it separate. And I've only ever seen one person use that on the tube. And I was just looked at him thinking, how does he know when his stop's up?
Watching porn.
Could be.
Totally just watching porn, I reckon.
Didn't even think of that. Just thought it was a bit weird.
Totally watching porn.
Probably doing like a roller coaster while he's riding sideways on the tube. Going,
that instant vomit if that happens.
That's it. I do like it's like Tim goes, come try the latest in headset technology. What do you recommend? Well, my friend that's easily travel sick, you've got the driving game or the rowing game. Let's do one of those.
Exactly. And here's your bucket.
I should have
Here's
put
your
you in
bucket
Red
of
Matter
win.
too, but hey, we'll have to save that for another time.
There we go. There we go. That's quite interesting. That's quite exciting. So there we go. Anything else, Tim, or is that all the news we've got in basically news for the MetaQuest 3?
There are other games and things. I won't go through all of them. Like Ghostbusters, I'm looking forward to on the PSVR, but we already knew about that. So yeah. But yeah, it seems like a good time for VR at the moment. As I said, having parity with the MetaQuest 2 does mean good news for PSVR 2 users as well, I think. So yeah, this is a good thing.
Right, we're not going to go through everything here. We're just going to run through very quickly some of the other headlines. And first of all, Alone in the Dark, there is a reboot that's been announced, and there is a demo up available now. Game's going to come out
I have
24th
downloaded
of
it, but not
October,
played
just in time for Halloween. Okay, probably pointless mentioning it. And that's going to be on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The playable prologue is called Grace in the Dark. You can check it out now. I believe that's got David Harbour and the woman from Killing Eve in it.
Yes,
interesting.
That is correct. Apparently, also not very good, but that's on par for Alone in the Dark. So hey,
wow,
yeah,
throw it under the bus, Tim.
I will reserve judgment until I've played it for myself and maybe mention it next week. But
I know it's got its fans in some circles, usually insane asylums. I don't think there's ever been a good Alone in the Dark. I didn't like the first one.
No.
I didn't like the reboot. I don't know anything in between it, and I don't like this one. But hey ho, we'll see. Maybe
I didn't play the first one, and the reboot was terrible. One of the worst games I've played.
Another bit of news doing the rounds is that Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, being remade. We spoke about this last week. It got announced at the PlayStation Showcase. There's been a lot of talk over what kind of a remake we're getting. Is it from the ground up? Are they going to recast? Are they going to redo the lines? Or how is this going to work? Or is it just going to be more of a shiny version of the previous game, which would seem like a waste, as I think they just re-released those games today on the digital stores. So you can play a HD version of Snake Eater anyway. This one, it looks like although it is a remake, they aren't going to be changing any of the voice acting at all. So it's going to star all the original voice actors. And from what I've seen, it looks like they're going to use the original recordings, not re-record using the same
interesting.
actors. So we'll have to see.
David Hayter didn't comment, and it bodes badly for it, basically.
Yeah, there is that. Well, he's got a different game to hype up at the moment. I don't know how much money he's going to get for
one that he's getting paid for
recordings. Yeah. Anyway, the most important news this week, just for Dan, because we know he's a big fan. We've got a Lord of the Rings Gollum update.
Oh, thank goodness.
You may have remembered one of Dan's most top-rated games that he's been super excited for, that somehow
so excited.
completely forgot to put in his ones to watch this year as well. I don't know how that
It's
happened.
because I was so excited by it that I didn't want to jinx it.
I forgot.
You see? Because I knew this game was going to be a banger.
It's precious.
Exactly
he wants it.
It's a banger, right? It's a really...
Precious.
It's a great
is
idea.
it precious?
It's very precious. Oh, yes.
Is it? Okay. So tell me, what did it get on OpenCritic? I'm so excited by it. What did it get? But did it get a 90? Did it get a 90?
Yeah, let's say about that. Probably, do you know what?
Okay.
It's probably quite generous. Maybe it's like an 88, an 89, I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So definitely it's like one of the best games of all time, right? And no one needs to apologise for anything to do with it, right?
Most likely. No, the game came out. You've probably seen it's been doing the rounds. It's quite broken. It doesn't look good. It looks very dated.
Right.
And there's...
But still good?
Yeah. No, there's mechanical issues. The game's quite repetitive, structural problems.
Right.
I saw a weird thing. Like, the whole thing's set in the point where Gollum's captured for interrogation and then gives up the Shire and Baggins and then escapes. But it's a whole story about that period of time where he's a prisoner, and it doesn't look all that inspiring. And the Gollum voice is terrible. But
if you were going to pick a period in time that was worst, the worst period in time of Gollum's life to pick to make a video game about, I think that would be it.
But it's also a really potentially interesting time, isn't it?
No, because it doesn't go on for that. It doesn't go on for that long, but the game kind of stretches it out, I think. I think a more interesting one would be sort of Riddles in the Dark, where he loses the ring, maybe a little bit before getting the ring, having that, and then carrying on from that point to the Fellowship of the Ring. I mean,
okay, so also perhaps... So seriously, sorry, I just misunderstood. It literally is the only bit when he's been captured. It's not like him kind of changing from from a Hobbit to whatever Gollum is.
Not as I
No,
understand.
Wow. Okay. Well, all right. Because that would have been interesting. This sounds like
They took a
butts.
bad idea, focused it into a worse idea.
I've also only seen a couple of reviews for the game, but neither of them seem to have got past the second level of the game because
Wow.
I don't know if it's because it's so short, but it seems by setting it in a dungeon, it means that everything can be inside and you don't have to worry too much about outside assets. And
Nice.
It looks a little bit ropey. Anyway, the game came out. It did not do well. And Daedalic Entertainment, they've come out and said that they're deeply sorry for all the issues that players have experienced and that they're working on a patch that would address most the most pressing issues, including bugs, performance problems, and technical issues.
So here's what I love most about
Yes.
this announcement: that if you've
I love
messed
announcements.
something up, if you've messed something up, you want to make sure you are on point with salient facts in your apology, right? You want to make sure you're talking facts. You want to make sure that you've got the name of the game correct. And I
Explain.
quote Tim. This is from the first line.
Lord
Okay,
of the
dear
Ring.
players. We would like to sincerely apologise for the underwhelming experience many of you have had with the Lord of Ring Gollum. Not the Lord of the Rings Gollum, the Lord of Ring Gollum.
I mean, they're not exactly well known at this point for, being on point.
I mean, come on, it's just stupid. Who didn't check that?
But also, what I think would have been funny if they'd released this apology before the reviews and the game was released. Like, that would have been funny. Like, that would have drawn some attention and been actually amusing. Apologizing for it before the reviews even came out. Because they must have known. They must have known how bad this game was. Like, someone probably wrote that apology a few weeks ago and then just went on holiday. Like,
well, which would have mean they would have had plenty of time to check that they got the name of the chuffing game right.
They don't care anymore, Dan. They just crapped this out. I don't think they set out to make a bad game, but there can't have been anyone that was making this game that was like, oh, this is a really good idea. This is going to do really well. Yeah, good game. Yeah, great.
It's good. Lord of the Rings, we're just going to print money. It's fine. Oh, actually, Bob made a different game called Lord of Ring. Screw it. Just put the title on that. It'll do.
The other kind
Silly
of,
Bob.
I mean, sort of quickly wrap this one up, but there is a second Lord of the Rings game coming down the pike, but it's not from Daedalic Entertainment. But then I think I read today that Daedalic Entertainment are making a second Lord of the Rings game after Gollum.
I think they have. I think I heard somewhere they have a contract for 3 games.
Oh my god!
If you don't have a clause in it that breaks the contract, if the Metacritic rating is below like 50% or something, then you literally don't know what you're doing in signing contracts with companies. Like,
yeah, you don't know how to business.
Yes,
if you haven't got that.
Bad at business.
Wow.
Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, as we introduced last year, we started doing in our end of the year shows, we started throwing in the worst games of the year, which means we probably will want to talk about this, which means one of us needs to play it.
No, not me.
Not it.
I'm not. What I am not playing it if I have to pay any money for it. I will play it for amusement's sake if it comes to Game Pass.
Oh, Tim, your birthday's coming up, isn't it?
Not for a while yet.
Happy birthday to
Well, I think yours is next, isn't it?
Probably.
No, mine's.
Oh, is yours?
yeah,
You don't want to admit that,
Probably
Dan.
Dan's. Yeah, he was like, oh, shouldn't have said that.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
Well, it's going to be even funnier when you get 2 copies of Gollum for your birthday, Dan. That's going to be even funnier.
Yes. Going to be Rise,
Well,
Son
that
of
allows
Rome
me
all
to
over
make
again.
Lord of Ring, 2 copies of Lord of Ring and make it Lord of the Rings. So, that's good. At least it's going to be
Oh, fine. Good.
fine.
Lord of the Gollums.
It might have turned into an amazing game by then.
I haven't seen it go on sale in the UK yet, but I did see pictures of it popping up in supermarket sale bins over in the US.
Wow, already.
Oh,
that's
yes. It, like, what, 2 weeks, a week after it's come out? Mad.
If I can
Stupid Baggins is.
slightly go off topic, but go on with it. I was actually
there's a
quite
surprise.
pleasantly surprised to see that Aliens Dark Descent is not a full price game. So I'll definitely be picking that up later this month. 35 quid, brand new off the store. So I was like, oh, that's a really good looking Alien game. I like the look of that. So yeah, I'm pleased that isn't even a full price game. I was expecting it to be, so I'm pleasantly surprised that it isn't. Just mentioning it in case anyone else wasn't aware when they were making their purchase.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
That'd be everything, yes?
Yes.
I think that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we take this show to the... I don't know where I'm going with this sentence. I thought I was going to come up with a really cool soundbite, but I just sound like a complete flipping more.
Should we take this blasted episode and stab it in its cold, dead heart?
Yes, do that, or at least tickle it lightly on the scrotum until it gets really annoyed and feels
Either,
a bit
we're getting results.
The whole process. Yeah, we are. Right. You should go to tpublic.com/stores/BRB and buy things with my face on it. What you should do.
Yeah.
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 What we need to do, just seeing that you've changed your background again.
No, I haven't.
Coleman.
I was always here.
What you ought to do, I really want to release some actual wallpaper that is Tim's front room, so that all of our listeners can, plaster their room with a likeness of Tim's room, and then speak to him on Discord and then freak him out.
I'll probably put it in the Discord group, but I will tell you, this is a screenshot taken from the video, which was then AI enhanced to smoothen it out and make it larger. So it will be suitable for wallpapering.
Nice.
Even if that is you want to print out a bunch of images and stick them around your house for wallpaper, that'd be pretty good. Yeah,
that would be pretty sweet.
Anyway, now we're all in Tim's flat. Let's let's get out of here. Yes, sorry, tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Be sure to go over there and pick up all the cool designs of t-shirts and stickers and masks and phone cases and all those things that you might want. I particularly recommend, there's a very cool Zangief one, which does look a bit Soviet Russian, but it is a very cool design nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
But wrong considering he is from USSR.
USSR.
Oh.
And also Tuesday is a Tuesday, Tim.
Spice Girls lyric that. What?
And also Tuesday is a Tuesday, Tim.
Yeah, Tim, Tuesday.
Right, this week's
Tuesday.
What's happening in this week may change, and I'm going to speak to Jimmy from Loading about that tomorrow. So you'll have to come and get more details on the top left-hand corner of BigRedBarrel.com or search for Tabletop Tuesdays on Meetup.com to get further details. But in doing so, like anyone doesn't know, each and every Tuesday we do an event at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. So you can just come along and join us there on any Tuesday, and we'll be doing something board game related. Board or card game related, I should possibly specify. As I said, we might be changing what we're doing this week. There is some stuff up on Meetup already, but I might be changing that around just because that suits what we're doing, and I won't bore you with the details of why, but it will. I'm also hopefully going to UK Games Expo on Sunday. So I might have some stuff to report back about that next week as well. So it's going to be a busy old show next week.
Aren't EGX tickets going on sale soon as well?
I think they are on sale. I'm not sure how bothered I am about EGX now that WASD's got another event later in the year. I don't know if we spoke about that on the show, but WASD's doing a September event later in the year in association with IGN. So I think I'd be more likely to attend their events going forward than EGX ones, basically.
I think they've
got enough.
Sorry, I think EGX goes on sale on the 15th.
Oh, I thought I'd already seen.
I think there's early access tickets if you're a Virgin subscriber. Also, I'd have to look into this again. I forget all the details. The media, Dan, not the other thing. You're doing that. Some mothers do Avamu like kind of face again. Carry on, Gibbons.
You're doing a some mothers. Have them face is what you just said today. Okay. Right.
Well, I was just trying to sort of old British comedy double entendre, you know, kind of, yeah. Yep.
Should we move on? I think we probably should.
Yeah, why not? We did do Tabletop Tuesday, didn't we? Yes, good.
Yep.
Okay, fine. We're going to skip questions. I don't think we got any questions today. I didn't look. I'm sorry. I did put in a thing and I didn't look properly. Oh, here you go. This is very quick. Ed, question. He says, you have the ability to delete a video game auteur, e.g. Kojima, Molyneux, Miyazaki, David Cage. From the pantheon of gaming history, who do you pick? Okay,
I'm going to go first and give a shenanigans answer, though. I'm going to say no one, because even a bad video game auteur has moved things on and has... even someone with bad ideas can influence someone else to have better ideas, or can influence them to not go ahead with their worse ideas because they've realized it. Right? I don't think you can take one brick out the wall and still have the same solid wall of video games that we have today.
So Tim's not playing the game properly.
You're right. That was an absolute BS answer, Tim. Congratulations.
What is it with Ed's questions that you never answer properly?
Because
Because he just wants me to kill like Molyneux or David Cage the whole time.
He just wants you. Yeah, he just wants you to say David Cage.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's between Molyneux and David Cage, isn't it? Really, let's face it.
But would you really want no Molyneux? That means no
it's
Fable, no Black and White, like none of the games that like
whoa,
were influenced by him. Even though he went off the rails.
Which Fable?
All of them.
1 and 2.
Oh,
Fable Journey.
No chicken.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's
Chicken Chaser.
Seriously, that line. Oh, you chicken chaser! One of the worst lines ever. Frankly, if that was wiped off the face of the planet, I would be a happy man.
That's actually Molyneux.
One of those then.
Well, it's Molyneux. It's not Molyneux. It's Cage. No, it's Cage. It's Cage. I'll get rid of Cage.
See,
that's
David Cage.
That's just all of Ed's questions are just designed to get us to kill David Cage. That's all of his questions.
Once again,
like
you're not killing someone. You're just deleting them from history. They never existed.
Oh, that's fine then. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That's worse than killing someone, Coleman.
Ow.
I'm gonna.
Jesus, Tim. Microphone technique.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit left field with this. I'm gonna say Miyamoto because I want to see what the state of Nintendo is if they didn't have him.
Ooh. Nice. Anger the internet. Hi, YouTube. How you doing? Hello, comments.
Want to kill
Wow.
I'm deleting Gabe Newell. let's really cause some problems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. I think we should probably go before we anger more of the internet. So thank you for listening. We're going to be back next week. Do leave us a review because we like reviews and we will find them and maybe read your name out. But we will, happily imbibe of feedback goodness, any which you might provide.
Leave us a review, but do it in the style as if you were leaving a feedback, like a Yelp review for a restaurant.
Right.
That would just amuse me. So the podcast is actually a restaurant.
Worst steak tartare ever.
Exactly, something like that.
For example.
Yeah, that'd be
5
great.
stars.
I love that. But it still has to be 5 stars. Don't change that.
Right,
please.
okay.
Further flavour of 5 stars.
By the way, forgot to do it. If you want to get in contact with us, bigredbarrel.com. Over there, we have a link to our Discords. We have a Facebook and a Twitter at Big Red Barrel. We have a YouTube called Big Red Barrel TV. And there's links to all of those social media things and any other things that we might have covered to do with like trailers or streams or that kind of stuff. I usually link lots of little handy things like that in the show notes. And there's also chapter markers. So if there's a particular game that you don't want to know about because you haven't played it yet and you're saving it, then you could skip past it. If there's news you don't particularly care about, you can skip past it. I think those things are automated in Apple as well, by the way, rather than just going to the show notes and doing it. Yeah. Handy things in the show notes.
We may also have some blog content to go alongside that blog in the next couple of weeks. Not hint. Maybe
wow.
Well, I have been taking the lactulose, so that should get me old blog content moving.
Good. Let's go.
Like a warm dribble of fun.
Let's go. Please let's stop recording.
But I didn't get to creep you out by saying warm
this.
dribble of fun. A warm dribble of fun.
No. Don't do
No?
this. No?
No? All right, okay. We're going to go. So thank you for downloading us. Thank you for listening. Once again, all that's really left is for me to remind you that I have been Dan.
I may have been Tim, but you both need to get the hell out of my lounge.
I've been a chaotic warm dribble of fun.
Oh, yeah, you have.
Yummy, yum, yum.
Nice.
So on that tasteful note, we'll be back next week. We'll have far too much to talk about, but we'll see you then. So thank you ever so much, listeners. And until next time, dear listeners, I said listeners twice. Toodle bye.
Your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
I never appreciated how Jim Ryan looks like a budget Gordon Ramsay impersonator until now.
I've got to be honest, I don't see it.
Fair enough, that was worth it.
Don't you?
But
He totally does.
it's a funny observation.